A single split-second photo can destroy 90% of a carefully curated personal brand, and nobody knows that better than Meghan Markle. So what happens when the flashbulbs stop flattering and start exposing the cracks in the performance? And what does everyone else see that the Sussexes missed? 12. The invisible director. You have to admire the sheer commitment to the bit. It takes a special kind of confidence to photobomb a celebrity who is actively working, but that is exactly what happened with Chris Rock. We are looking at a moment where the desire to be in the frame overrides the basic social contract of personal space. Chris Rock is minding his own business, likely contemplating his set or just existing in his own moment, and suddenly, there is an intrusion. It is not just a casual walk-by. It is a calculated insertion into the narrative of someone else's evening. The hand raise is the kicker here. It is that I have arrived gesture, like she is summoning a waiter at a restaurant she doesn't own. It screams of a need to be part of the tableau, to attach oneself to a level of stardom that feels tangible in the room. Critics looked at this and didn't see a friendly interaction between peers. They saw a desperate attempt to be seen in the same orbit as Hollywood royalty. It is less about friendship and more about proximity. When you force yourself into the frame, you are not a co-star. You are an extra trying to steal focus, and the camera caught the exact moment the hierarchy became clear. 11. The Polo Pivot. If there is one thing we know about the sport of kings, it is that the trophies are heavy, the horses are expensive, and the photo lineup is a battlefield. The trophy presentation at the polo match was supposed to be a moment of triumph for Prince Harry. He played the game, he scored the goals, and he deserved to hold the shiny cup. But the choreography of the victory photo told a different story. It wasn't about the team, it was about the center spot. Dr. Sophie Shandaka, a distinguished woman in her own right, found herself on the receiving end of a very public, very awkward stage direction. You can see the physical shuffling, the hand gestures, the specific instructions to move aside so the Duchess could stand next to the prince. By physically maneuvering a grown woman out of the way to secure the prime visual real estate, the moment shifted from a celebration of sport to a masterclass in territorial dominance. 10. The wheelchair adjustment. Consent is a massive topic, especially when it comes to touching people or their medical equipment. At the Invictus Games, an event literally designed to honor wounded veterans and their autonomy, we witnessed a moment that made the entire internet hold its breath. A woman in a wheelchair was positioned for a group photo. She was fine, she was settled, but apparently she wasn't symmetrical enough for the shot. The look on the woman's face says it all. She is stopped mid-conversation, physically moved like a piece of furniture to fit a visual aesthetic. It strips away the humanity of the moment and replaces it with composition. You don't just grab someone's wheelchair and steer them into better lighting without asking. It shows a fundamental disconnect between the caring persona and the director persona. The director won that day, but the audience lost a lot of respect. 9. The floor sit power play. During the South Africa tour, we were treated to a display of what I like to call aggressive approachability. The goal was clearly to look down to earth, relatable, and stripped of royal pretension. But true relatability is meeting people where they are, not forcing them to join you in a performance of casualness. When visiting a local charity, the vibe shifted from a formal introduction to a mandatory slumber party on the floor. You have dignitaries, officials, and locals dressed in suits and formal wear. They are prepared for a royal visit. And then, the command comes down. We are sitting on the ground. It creates this bizarre visual dissonance where the guest of honor is forcing a level of informality that actually makes everyone else uncomfortable. It is a power move disguised as humility. It essentially says, I am so humble, I will make you sit in the dirt with me to prove it. It turns the hosts into background actors in a scene about how chill the Duchess is, rather than respecting their own cultural or formal norms. 8. The best friend in the crowd. We saw a touching moment during the mourning period for the Queen. A young girl in the crowd, overcome with emotion, asking for a hug. It was the perfect antidote to the icy reception rumors. It was warm. It was spontaneous. It was familiar. Fast forward a few months, and this same girl pops up again in a photo with Meghan in Los Angeles. The internet sleuths went into overdrive. What are the odds? Is it a superfan with an unlimited travel budget, or was this a casting call? Critics argue it feels less like a serendipitous connection and more like a recurring character in a scripted reality show. When the spontaneous moments start having continuity errors, the audience starts looking for the script supervisor. It casts a shadow of doubt over every hug, every handshake, and every smile, making us wonder if anything is left to chance. 7. The case of the AI thumb. At this point in the timeline, reality itself is up for debate. There is a photo of the young family that circulated online, meant to show a sweet, private moment. But the eagle-eyed observers of the internet noticed something disturbing. It wasn't the lighting or the outfits. It was anatomy, specifically, a thumb that seemed to defy the laws of biology. When a hand looks like it was drawn by a computer that has only seen hands described in a book but never seen one in real life, questions arise. Is it Photoshop? Is it AI? Is it a bizarre trick of the light? The accusation that the image might be generated or heavily altered feeds into the narrative that nothing we see is real. It suggests that even the private family moments are manufactured products, polished until they are no longer human. 6. The Morocco Sprint. Royal protocols are usually slow. You walk, you wave, you shake hands. It is a stately progression. But in Morocco, we saw something that looked more like a track and field event. The footage shows a moment where the Duchess spots a group of children and practically breaks into a sprint to get to them. It wasn't a casual stroll, it was a beeline. The urgency is what makes it so uncomfortable. It implies that the children are the target, the objective. She needed that shot of Meghan with the kids to check a box on the PR itinerary. And the kicker? The kids don't even look that interested. You have a Duchess running towards them, like she is late for a bus, and they are just standing there, confused. It strips away the dignity of the interaction and turns it into a frantic grab for content. 5. The joyless family outing. Speaking of family photos, let's talk about the ones that make you want to send a wellness check text. There is a set of paparazzi photos of the family leaving an event or just walking, and the vibe is bleak. We are used to seeing the curated, smiling, black and white aesthetic, but the candid reality captured here tells a different story. The clothing choices alone are baffling. You have Harry in a hoodie, Meghan in a jacket, and the kids in summer clothes. It is like they are all dressed for different climates, or perhaps different planets. But beyond the wardrobe malfunction, it is the energy. It looks staged, yet miserable. There is no joy, no connection. It feels like a proof of life photo rather than a family memory. 4. The classroom invasion. Education is sacred. Classrooms are sanctuaries for learning. Or, if you are on a PR tour, they are excellent backdrops. The visit to a school classroom felt less like an educational exchange and more like a hostage situation. The children were there to learn, but suddenly they were background extras in the Duchess Loves Education movie. The kids looked surprised, and not in the excited way. It was more of the confused way. And there, in the center of the confusion, is the beam. That satisfied smile that says, I got the shot. It feels exploitative. These children didn't sign a release form for their likeness to be used to bolster a celebrity's charitable image. They were a captive audience, and that power imbalance makes the resulting photos feel icky. It is the difference between serving a community and using a community. 3. The disaster tourist. There is a term for people who show up at the sites of tragedies not to help, but to be seen helping. It is called disaster tourism, and it is a bad look. During the fires in LA, a moment of genuine crisis for many, we saw a visit that felt suspiciously produced. It wasn't just dropping off water, it was a photo op with a very specific wardrobe. Critics pointed out the hat, the outfit, the perfectly timed shots of doing the work. It felt less like altruism and more like a catalog shoot for humanitarian chic. When people are losing their homes, your choice of accessories shouldn't be the headline. But when you bring a camera crew to a disaster zone, you are inviting that scrutiny. It turns someone else's worst day into your content. And that is a transaction that rarely favors the victim. 2. The human prop. If moving a wheelchair user wasn't enough, we have the instance of the wheelchair boy photo. This is perhaps one of the most egregious examples of treating a human being as set dressing. The boy, unable to protest or move away, becomes a fixture for the Duchess to pose with. She goes behind him. She poses. It is mechanical. There is no engagement with him as a person, no checking if he is comfortable. He is simply the vulnerable person required to make the photo look charitable. It is dehumanizing. It reduces a living, breathing child to a prop that signals empathy to the viewer, while demonstrating a complete lack of it in the moment. It is the kind of photo that makes you wonder if she sees people at all, or just outlines of potential likes. 1. The Paris Tunnel Tribute. Finally, we arrive at the most haunting, arguably the most grotesque example of this obsession with the camera and the narrative. A video posted to social media featuring her feet resting on the dashboard of a car. The location? The Pont de l'Alma Tunnel in Paris, the exact spot where Princess Diana died. It is chilling. Whether it was a deliberate callback or a staggering coincidence, the optics are nightmarish. To ride through that tunnel, camera rolling, framing your own relaxation in the place of your husband's mother's violent death, it defies explanation. It feels like a taunt. It feels like a claim of ownership over the tragedy itself. It is distasteful in a way that goes beyond cringe and lands firmly in disturbing. It suggests that, to her, even death is just another set piece for the content machine. Which of these moments made you want to look away the most? Or is there another photo op we missed that haunts your timeline? Let us know in the comments below. The camera might not lie, but the comments section certainly tells it like it is. Stay sharp, and remember to check your angles.